tell, like, I might be able to get, I don't know, 50 people there, maybe 100, but on social media, like Joshua, you already have whatever it is, 13 or 1400 people. Can you imagine having a live event where you had 1400 people in the room? I mean, that is the power of leveraging social media. So I guess just kind of looking at what are we doing right now? What we're doing is figuring out how to have fun on social media and start growing an audience and a community that's like-minded and we have some stuff in common and kind of going from there.
With that, I put out myself. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to share on that as well. But go ahead and I'll let you start if that's okay.
As far as kind of doing a bulk creation of posts or and reels that we were working on, or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, yeah, you were trying to create content and you worked hard. And tell me what you experienced and kind of how that made you feel.
Um, okay, yeah. Let me go ahead and see if we can share this here.
Are you on your screen?
Is that what you wanted me to do or no?
I just the that
Oh,
you were.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So, for the past several days, and I'm definitely doing this part-time. I have a full-time job in real estate as well. So I'm with you guys that, I'm not retired. I don't have endless hours. So I'm trying to do my side groove on the side purposefully and kind of go from there. So one of the things that I've been working on is I initially started working on my first 10 posts. So I used AI to kind of help me with that. I had some really good ideas and it was kind of fun changing up the prompt to get AI to perform the way I wanted it to. And so what I wound up creating was 10 different subjects with hooks, a suggestion of what a picture might be for that post. So I have all that. Then Joshua came along here and said, "Hey, I'm working on 30 days, not 10. I'm working on 30 days of reels and I'm creating that in Canva and I'm doing all these amazing things and doing it bulk, and it's like, wow, that sounds really cool. So he and I spent a little bit of time together and kind of got me going. And, you know, so I went back to AI and created 30 subjects, and they're okay. I'm probably going to wind up tweaking those because I want this to be authentic and really talk about the values that I believe in. But when I started going in there and actually creating those little short reels, 30 of them all at one time, just editing issues and what fonts to use, what background to use. Oh, the white text you can't see because this video has too much, just all those things. And it's just a matter of playing with it. So from my from where I'm at right now, it'll probably take me on my first month, my first shot at it. It'll probably take me in the neighborhood of 2 hours, I'm thinking, to create 30 posts. But if you think about that, that's still really quick. I'll probably get that down at some point to a half hour. So I know that I'm on a learning curve right now. And but those are those are things that happen honestly with any kind of technology. So that's kind of what happened yesterday.
Yeah. Like, anytime you start a new in your life that you don't know, like post a video on how to do it, and then you're trying to do it, there's a level of like what you've seen in the world or the self expectation of the level of quality that you want to produce and your inability to produce that level of quality. And so that causes a frustration. And then another thing that causes frustration is like we're used to like working and then getting a grade or working and getting paid and seeing quick results for our efforts. And that causes frustration too, because being an influencer and being a social media marketer, being someone that takes what you're doing on social media and converting that into dollars, that's a long game. It's not a short game. It's not a, work and get paid. If you want to work and get paid, go drive for Uber, or something like becoming a broker, becoming a realtor. That took time. It doesn't happen overnight. And
Yeah.
so a high paying skill that's going to pay you thousands of dollars, time to, you know, um, really capture. And so that's one of the things, like when I've got someone that they're like, I want to start now, I want to make money now, I want to, you can't fit your existing network to help you with what you're doing. So like, hey mom, I did a great thing for the store, hey, I think that your friend, it, people are people are using platforms to go get services, and we're also make some quick money while we're building out our social media marketing for uh, right? Mine's about Jesus, the Word of God, the Gospel, evangelism, and I don't want to prostitute the gospel. I want it to be completely free. So the way ministers raise money is they work a side business, and then they like Paul, he built his tent. That's the model for a minister. So, and Steve, you got you know thinking you're excited. Like, that's the time. So that's the band. Figure
Right.
that
Right. As you're going through trying to figure out your niche, I think the kind of like what we had talked about yesterday, but the initial where do you start? Start with and sometimes it's not super clear, but start with what you're passionate about or start a subject that start thinking about a subject that causes an emotional feeling, whether happy, joy, mad, like we talked about. Maybe there's an injustice you want to overcome, or maybe you get really excited about restoring our country back to the freedom country that it once was, or whatever the subject is. So that's kind of a starting point, and then I think you got to take the next step, start thinking about your audience. What problem or issue do they have that you want to solve? So I think that's kind of the next step past the niche is what are you ultimately going to, how are you ultimately going to serve your community to provide a solution? So that's kind of, you're just drilling down, still thinking about that niche. And you could even take it further at one point. You don't have to have all this figured out before you start, like Joshua said. Even if like the ultimate change, changing your niche, right? If you have to do that, you have to do that. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but as you're thinking about that and growing and refining your what your niche is and how you're going to serve that, you're also start monitoring like who's following me, who am I attracting? Are they mostly men? Are they mostly women? What age group are they? What nationality are they? That's what any company does is they try to figure out who their client avatar is and market to them, and ideally we would love to, I think we'd all love to be able to market to everybody. And as far as the gospel message goes, of course, we love everybody and everybody's accepted. But what starts happening is if you notice, I don't know, 85% of your followers are male, for instance, you could sort of start tailoring your content to focus on them. Why not? It's 85% of your of your market there. So I think that's part of niching, and that actually even rolls all the way into branding. And then, like I know we had this conversation, Joshua, talking about like the colors. Joshua, who man, who man and I I don't know, we've known each other for a decade or so, and yeah, who man. All right, I'm trying to retrain 10 years of habit here. All right, very good. Joshua, no, who man Joshua. I always want to say Joshua who man, but that's the order in which I learned it.
We in the process of becoming someone who can create content, you can be a content curator who leads people specifically about and all all what buy? Just ask them straight up out and say, if I produced a product like, and they only said, and so there's really way to build your business. We've got honesty, and I on X and YouTube, but did come up and what do you for us and
Thank you, Brother Joshua. So I'm so honored to be in your spaces. Really love to be in your spaces. First, we are connected to Christ, and the next is we love God. And my greatest struggle is, I think mankind's greatest struggle, even all our business partners and people in our life, is to break mindset. I mean, we grew up on a different mindset growing up and to break mindsets that are not good for us, I mean, to rewire our systems all over again. I mean, they call it the programming, right? There's a mental makeup of programming. I've been in the software industry for a long time, so I'm kind of more prone to the needs and the workings of it rather than having a broader view, which is the most important thing, which I believe somebody like Elon Musk, like he looks at things from a macro level, and me looking at things from micro, from coming from my environment, from a different country and other things as well. So, how do we break out of it? Any suggestions and that you guys can provide? And I know I've kind of broken through, and I kind of like, if it breaks through it completely, then I'll be super successful, whatever I do, how I do.
that's a great he thanks you to be here. He loves spaces, he loves our spaces. His question is how do you I, I have and any on-camp statement, any place like I, I, wait, I'm a type of person who walks every day. I try to own it in my identity before I try to connect it to my identity. Like I am a walker, I am a hiker, I am a healthy eater. I choose good food. I, I enjoy my work. I enjoy people that like I uh, take
Yeah, you had mentioned books. I wanted to just recommend a book that I don't know if any of you have heard or read any of Mark Batterson's books. Have you read any of those, Who Man? Mark Batterson. Yeah. No. So he's an author. I don't know. He's probably written around seven or eight or nine, somewhere in that neighborhood books now. He's a pastor over in DC, Washington, DC, has a really large church there. And I had a friend of mine give me a book. Drawing Circles was the name of that book. It's one of his first couple of books, and that was a devotional. So that was really cool. And that book really did a lot to uh, take you through day by day. You were given tasks kind of to do, and you're basically reading God's word, meditating on it, and then putting that into action on a daily basis. And then when drawing, draw, I think it's draw circles or drawing circles or draw circles. Draw the circle. Okay. Okay. No, no, I don't think so. I think Mark, let me go look at it. Let me go find it. It's Mark. That, okay. There's a couple I haven't seen then. Okay. Okay. Yeah, he is. He is an awesome storyteller. He tells stories that just like you're sitting on the edge of your seat as you're reading it. But pertaining to what we're talking about right now, I highly recommend his book, Winning the Day or Win the Day. Win the Day, I think it's called. Um, he goes through and gives story after story, including his own stories on how he overcame, changed his mentality, and everything that you talked about, replacing the negative with the positive. So it's not just this is a bad habit, I'm not going to do it anymore. You take that bad habit, you put something good in its place. And then it's talking about, your identity. I remember when I have five daughters, and I remember when they were small, they would, if one of them did something wrong, I remember, my conversation with them at night while they're, tucking them into bed, I'm like, or before then, if we had a conversation before then, I would say, let's say one of them, I'm trying to think, one of them hit, their friends. So I would go to them and I'm like, I'd say their name and then I would say, that's not who you are. You're not someone that hits them. You are a kind person. And, you can't do that because that's not who you are. And I would just reiterate their identity as being what, with replacing that. Hey, obviously, we're mad and he wound up hitting someone because of anger. So that, those things happen because we're human. But changing the identity is really important. And you could also chain habits together. So if you want to start eating healthy, the ones that are really obvious, if you want to start getting in shape, right? You want to start eating healthy, maybe taking some supplements and exercising. So when you set your supplements out on the table the night before. When you get up, you see them there, but before you take them, you could chain another habit to that. Like I got to do 50 push-ups before I take my supplements. So now you've got two habits going on. And as you start doing that and building some activity, you're really proving to your own mind, oh, I really am a healthy person. And it starts changing your identity.
Yeah. that I walk. I breathe first, and and think incrementally building. Um, so both and be up you right. Work out that right. Work and when I hey, thank you. True. And the big the big problem, and it's gonna be a
Right.
and I the book is see the plan for take us and create it if you want to. So
Right.
and so
I to thank you because and also way on in our journey, we take the rights. Uh, and God rewards us with this transformation as well. I just want to share a small testimony. A couple of days back, the person who comes to meet our business, so they were living with somebody who's, I guess that's on their family, maybe some stuff, I said it to people. I did mention to them, it's about, have you ever heard of something called Sodom and Gomorrah? So of course, we heard of it. Just that there are certain things God likes about this planet. That's all I said.
Yeah. Forgiving and I trust for the heart. He was the and uh, it, it, and because and I be and one key to this, but one and like so my uh, uh, those all right. So, uh, uh, this, yeah, uh, I like uh, uh, so I know and thank you for all that it, 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 you that is that so yeah, go ahead and space and we appreciate that. Go see there you are.
Yeah, I think what I would like to do is just do a kind of a quick recap. I think this has been a real really good session here. So again, we're talking about back to the basics or back to the basics. This is video number two. We did one yesterday. So we kind of just recapping real quick. So first of all, you got to kind of figure out what your niche is. We talked a little bit about that. Um, Between today and yesterday's video, we talked about branding that has to do with kind of almost the tone, if you will, as opposed, in addition to all the things you think of in brand, color, logo, all that kind of stuff. But there's also a tone, like, are you going to be an educational channel? So you talked a little bit about that, Joshua, or, kind of like what's the voice? Are you going to be inspiring? Are you going to be funny? You can kind of do once in a while throw in an inspiration thing or a funny thing, but you got to sort of, mainly that this is your style, right? So we talked a little bit about that. Then last time we talked about setting up your brand new Instagram account and X account, how to go in there. We gave a few ideas about what needs to be in your bio. And then if you're going to sell any kind of product, you need a means of doing that. So one that's out there, well, a popular one that's out there is Stand Store. So we talked a little bit about that. In your Stand Store, you could have freebies. You could have stuff that are kind of lead magnets. So someone actually reaches out, raises their hand and say, "Hey, yeah, I want that PDF file. I want those instructions, whatever it is." When they do that, what you start doing is making the platforms um, members your clients because you get their email and now you're starting to build an actual relationship and it's beginning of a community with them. And then we kind of wrapped it up by talking about all those things and tasks to do are great, but like, where are we going from here? Yes, we can make money on social media. Our focus at the beginning is to build a community. So, um, just kind of knowing where you're at, depending on how you think. If you think like me, I want to know the end from the beginning, or however that saying goes. So, that's where I'm at right now. I'm at the beginning. I'm going through the task part of it. My goal is to make and build my community, provide something that is of benefit and supports our community. And at some point, as that grows, we're going to be rolling out some products. And my heart is in business. So one of my goals is to come up with a product, if you will, or a mechanism for the average person to make money. And so that's kind of like, I guess, a recap, but it all starts here in your mind. So mindset is so super important. And we gave a few clues about how to do that, recommended a couple of books. But the one thing I want to add to that is, if you're a Christian and you have a relationship with God, we sort of have we have an advantage in life, right? So yes, we can, God's given us the ability to think and to logically figure things out, but we could pray and the Holy Spirit could guide us and direct us where to go and convict us when we're on the wrong trail. So it's just awesome. I'm very thankful for my relationship with God.
Great and relevant stuff. And I think our thing is we do good if you get some good traits inside of us and we work hard and try. He's going to come alongside as a good father. So, so you business community for free. Like, okay, uh, uh, I like needs with no true. I
Very, very about you and what Steve, Mr. Steve has mentioned and others. I do have a very important question for us. I was connected this to Brother Stephen because I work with one closely. My struggle is with time, I have to be full of money for something. Basically, I have to be focused on whatever. A lot of people are able to do that, but then we struggle with a lot of things. I tell myself. But coming to the question itself, I first got this to Brother Stephen. I just want to cut the chase, but not present. Or because you guys have already done the research on come up with certain things that you use for either video editing or even texting or creating that profile itself. I just went to the spam store and I was looking at it right now. With Joshua, and it looks pretty awesome. What are the tools that you use? How do I cut the chase, and how do you come? Creating a good content.
so
That is definitely true. I suppose what topic do you recommend from your research that you would currently come up with some set which you actually use for the content creation?
Well, I think it is kind of an ever learning curve that changes because when you talk about what software do you use, remember that's technology, so it's always changing. But one thing that I've been doing here at the very beginning is using ChatGPT to help me write some content. So one of the things that I was able to do is I was listening to a YouTube teaching, because YouTubes are usually videos are usually pretty long. So it was like a 45-minute video of a uh, very well-known influencer. So on YouTube you could go copy the script. So I copied 45 minutes worth of script, pasted that into a Word doc, and then I uploaded that as a knowledge base and said, summarize or outline this text. And it came back and gave me a full outline with like whatever it was, 7 or 8 points, and then sub points. And then I took that document back to Chat GPT, and said, create, in my case, I just did 10. I probably should have done 30, but create 10 Instagram and X post for me with a hook, subject, and call to action. And boom, it came out there. And the first time it didn't really work like I wanted to, so I had to go back and change the prompt about 3 different times to get it to focus on the speaker in that 45 minutes had talked about a lot of different things. And he's a Christian, and he was talking a lot about godly principles, and Chat GPT didn't have really any of that the first time around. So I had to keep tweaking it, and I finally got it so it was pulling out what I wanted to focus on. So Chat GPT's one. Joshua showed me how to use Canva and do bulk creations of videos. So that was another tool that we've used. Um, and I know it kind of depends on what you like to do. Like my daughter's an influencer. She literally does everything on her phone. But I have a tendency to like the keyboard a little bit better. If I have a choice, I'll use the keyboard. So there's those are preferences. The other thing that I've learned, Daniel, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Pomodoro technique, where go look that up. And I think Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. I don't know if you remember, for years and years ago, there used to be a kind of a famous little timer, like kitchen timer. You would, mechanically turn it over, and it looked like a tomato because it was in the kitchen. So Pomodoro technique is basically a timer where you set it up. I'm trying to remember. I think it's 15 minutes, and what you do is what is it, 25? Okay, so it's 25 minutes, and you really focus on nothing but whatever the one subject is. If a phone call comes in, if a text comes in, you ignore it. And then at the end of that 25 minutes, even if you're like in the groove, you force yourself to stop, take a 5-minute break. I like to get up and walk, preferably outside if the weather permits. And then you come back and you got to train yourself. At first, you might only be able to do 2 or 3 sets, or even just one set initially, but pretty soon you can build that up. But it's always 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So that really helps you focus and get amazing results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm, you're, I'm, you know, I'm, I'm a planner. So, this band up because you got, you know, one, not so like don't video from that guy. Do one video so what and and business but 8 weeks, 7 I Instagram like spaces and you tackling writing out things definitely working it. I think TikTok's the it, how TikTok, right? Probably that is, the right incidents. Instagram company, they're of trying to keep big creation, especially more. And so those are the four for me. And I call Insta. Insta is Meta, Facebook, and Insta are one. YouTube, not in particular order, channel. Next, like hey, like get else. So on the consumption, you need to consume, and if you do that, and you apply to, it's really eating the element of social media and being a profitable side group. Every day it stacks, like I didn't originally have my life on X. I, I got oh, I the team and say, hey, what, I want to get for free. Uh, they don't know. So, those, uh, you know, uh, we were planning to work, we reached it. We were free. Take yourself free. Uh,
Sure, let me jump over there. Where are we reading? Okay.
Bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. A stone is heavy, and the sand, but a heavy bow. That is cruel. of a friend, like friend, and they need a purpose that that answer and approach a prudent evil person. Keep friend with a person. You want to read on 15?
A continual dropping and a very rainy day and a continuous woman are alike. Whosoever hideth her hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand which bewrayeth itself. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, so he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. As in water answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. As the finding pot of silver and the furnace of gold, so is a man to his praise. Though thou shouldest bray a fool in mortar among wheat with a pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds, for riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure to every generation? The hay appeareth, and the tender grass shew itself, and herbs of the mountains are gathered. The lambs are for thy clothing, and the goats are for the price of the field. And thou shalt have goat's milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance of thy maidens. I think the one that stood out is kind of the famous verse there in verse 17, iron sharpens iron. uh, as in a man, so like what we're doing here is is really that technique. As we talk about it, we're sharpening each other's um, fortitude and commitment and just the knowledge on how to do it. My goal is to finish my 10 posts. So finish those 10 posts and post my first one. Well, it'll be my second one actually, but the first in this series. And I've already had an Instagram account and done some things on there. So I'm trying to tackle both X. X is brand new for me. I've had an account for years, but I've honestly primarily only, consumed X by really utilizing it almost as a news channel. That's really been the main thing. So I really know almost nothing about X right now, but we're learning. And then the more tried and true for me is the Instagram. So I'm running both of those in parallel. So that's my minimal goal. And then from there, my goal is to go through and finish the 30 video bulk creation that I'm doing. And that's a pretty big job. But yeah, if what I did see there on Canva, because if you only get five of them done, if I only get five of them done today, I could download just those five, and I got my post for the next 5 days. Now I can work on the rest if I don't finish it by the end of the day. So yeah, it's kind of what I'm working on.
There's a little box that contains like
Yeah. Mhm.
is life experiences, except discipleship. So we're experiencing life together and helping. We're looking at a trip in Spain. So we, I don't know Spain trip, but we do have Sergey and thank
Sure.
you. Um, that we we and just in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Testimony time. Basically, we're just doing testimonies. You can find that on the AskWhoMan at AskWhoMan space or social media. It should be posted there down in the room somewhere. As a reminder. Yeah. We're glad. Have a nice day. God bless. Shalom, shalom.